so I finally got some pictures, some clear pictures of a few of the other carriages that I've talked about. And we went through the slack puller, the Acme Eagle, and the drum car Eagle, and the Bowman type. And I've talked about a Danabo drum lock, a Christie carriage, and an MSP. And it's really hard to explain them without being able to show them, but I finally got some pictures. So I'm going to, I had to make sure my mic was on. I'm going to try to explain them and show you guys some pictures of them. I think I got it set up where I can zoom in and whatnot. Maybe, hopefully this works out. Anyway, so we're going to start out with the Danabo drum lock. I spent 4 or 5 years under a Danabo drum lock. Oh my God, I hated it. And it being, I'll show you a picture here. This is the Danabo drum lock. Let's see if we can't zoom in a little bit. Basically what it is it's what they call a mechanical slack puller. And the way it works is, you see here on top, this is where you would put blocks in each one of these ears. Oh, excuse me. And your skyline would run through that. So just imagine your skyline's running right here, and there's 2 blocks, one on each end. We always ran the big Tommy Moores so you could go over a shackle. And then your haul back would go, you know, from the yarder to your blocks and then back to the back of the carriage. And it looks like it has 4 drums here, but there's actually only 3. This one right here in the middle, let's zoom in. This one right here, that's actually a brake. And the one that I worked on, the brake never worked. So that's a story in itself. Anyway, so there's 3 drums here, or slots, whatever you want to call them. This side here was the tag line, the drop line, and then the skid line. We'll go back out, and you see here the drop line, it lines up right here and comes out the bottom of it into the bang plate. Let's make sure I'm getting a good shot of that. And come on. Oh, come on. I had this all set up so I wouldn't have to. Okay, here's a front view of the same carriages, or carriage, excuse me. Front view right there is where the blocks would hang on top. This is actually 2 carriages side by side. Anyway, so yeah, your skid line would go in here. Your drop line goes in. It doesn't hang out. It goes, I'll explain that in a minute. But anyways, your skid line goes here, and your tag line goes in right here. Tag line here, skid line up here. Anyways, the way it works is, and they held, I want to say like 600 feet of drop line. But anyways, what you would do, so anyways, when you put the line on, and you had to have it timed perfect. You had to have the same amount of tag line as you did skid line, because if you didn't, when you were coming in or going back, the drop line would go up or down depending on which way you were out of time. And it would hold up to 600 feet of drop line. I may be wrong on that, but we normally ran about 200 feet, but that goes back to your timing thing. And it's been so long since I did it, and I hope I don't get this wrong. Anyways, what we would do is we would put like a section of haywire on the back side of it, of the carriage, and put a couple of wraps on it and bring it out and hook onto it with the haywire and put our skid line in. And we'd put like 2 wraps and then put it in, because it just nubbed in. And you always wanted to make sure, whether it was your skid line or your tag line, when you got to the end of it, you had a couple of extra wraps so you didn't have to worry about it falling out, because that was anyway. So you'd start going ahead on this section, and you'd like hang on to the back of it so that it would make it turn and pull the skid line on. And then once the skid line was on, then you could start going ahead on your skid line, and you'd take the section off, and put your tag line on. Same thing, put a couple of wraps on, and then start going ahead on your skid line, and it would wind the tag line on. Now, while you were winding the tag line on, you would put your drop line in, and it would start picking the drop line up. And if everything was timed right, which my brother was, and as many times as we did it, it's been so long since I did it, but anyways, my brother was like Johnny on the spot for timing these things. It was, you know, because each time you would, if the end of your drop line got bad or you burn it or something and you had to take a couple of feet off, you had to retime the tag and the skid line. And my brother was phenomenal about it. But anyways, so you've got your skid lines all pulled on, and you're wanting to put your tag line on. So now you put your drop line in, because when you go ahead on your skid line, it starts winding the tag line on and picking the drop line up. And if you've timed it right, when the bottom or end of the drop line gets to the bang plate, you're out of skid line and your tag line drum is full. See what I'm saying? Oh, and that's the reason you have to have your haul back on all the time, whether you're downhill, uphill, side hill, north bend, south bend. You run a drum lock, you have to have the haul back on, because it goes back, you ship your rigging back and you stop, the haul back holds it there, right? And so you want to get the drop line out, you start going ahead on the tag line and slacking the skid line. And it would, same thing, just backwards, you're pulling the tag line off, and it would pull the skid line on, and it would spit the drop line out. Now this is why you always wanted to have a couple of extra wraps, because when you got to the bottom of the drop line, it would start going back up. Well, as soon as you knew it was going back up, you had to stop, because if you run out of skid line, like I say, it's just a quick nub on the end of it. It can come out if it turns in the right spot, and then it's a travesty. Trust me, it's a travesty. So you hook your turn up, and you're ready to pick the drop line up. You start going ahead on the skid line, and the skid line starts pulling off, and it starts picking the drop line up, plus it's adding the tag line on. And whether you want to pick it all the way up or just pick it up tight and then move it. So let's say we pick the belly out of the drop line, and I want to run the carriage ahead, so I give him the correct whistle. Now he'll throw slack to his haul back while still keeping it tight, and he goes ahead on his tag line and his skid line at the same time, and it starts coming up. And then you could pick the drop line up as you're coming in if you had a really good yarder engineer. And we only had two that I ever worked with that really knew how to run a Danabo drum lock. So anyways, that's part of the interlock system too, like a swing yarder, because your tag drum and your skidding drum can work together. They both can be coming in at the same time, or one can be coming in and one can be going out at the same time, and you're not, you just set the pressure and let it go. It's really neat. Plus, if it hits the ground, look at this thing. It's got a full metal cage around it. We dropped them several times. You just pick them right back up and go to work. Now, I keep talking about if the line comes out. This brake, this is right here. Your tag line breaks, you've got your haul back pulling back on it and your skid line pulling ahead on it. So if your tag line breaks, it's going to go one or the other way. Well, with that brake on there, it sets. As soon as the tag line would break, or when you slacked it, that brake was supposed to set so that it wouldn't take off. Well, ours didn't work. So as soon as the tag line would break, the pressure from the skid line and the haul back, the drop line would take off. And it would start going fast enough, because what it would do is it's going up. Now the carriage starts running back. Well, you can't really do anything, because if you go ahead on the skid line, it'll just keep going because the tag line's not connected anymore. Anyway, so it starts taking off, and if you're out there 200 feet, by the time the hook or the eye, whatever you're running, we normally ran a hook, got to the bang plate, it's going fast enough that it cuts 7/8 line right into, right now. Now you got nothing, because the skid line's out, the tag line's out, and the haul back's hanging onto the back of it, and it'll take off. Woo! See you later. The only way you can stop it is throw the skyline away and let it hit the ground. So we got really, really good about You could hear it. Tick, oh, let go of the skid or the drop line. There goes the drop line. Brakes, takes off, carriage is flying. Yarder engineer blowing along, kicks the skyline loose. Slam! Get the haywire, retrieve everything, send it up there. Now ours would no longer go round like this. Ours went. So every once in a while it would hang up and you'd have to send it in and the shovel operator would take it off, pick it up, throw it down, throw it around, pick it up, bang it, beat it, put it back on the line, it'd work great. Right here, there's a bearing on each side. Now, because ours was untrue from being dropped on the ground a few times, we had to replace those bearings, and it seemed like about every 3 or 4 months. So we always kept those bearings on hand. Now, come on. So that's the, I hope I explained that well enough. Here's another one. Obviously, it's been tore apart. It's laying on its side. So, I do have a couple of other pictures here. Guys, here is a hand-drawn of running the Dynamo drum lock. You see, here's they call it a main line, skid line. Your drop line goes in the middle, and then the slack puller tag line yo-yo. You see, this is the haul back, comes all the way back out into the back of it. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I got a whole bunch of different diagrams like these that I'm going to put into this video. It'll be kind of like a slideshow, I think is what they're called. But it's all the different styles of, oh man, I forgot I can't do that. Anyways, whether you're running this is a North Bend system, high lead system. What this is supposed to be your yarder pull. Back in the day, it would have been a tree. The high lead system is just the haul back into the skid line, you know, so the haul back comes out into your drop or into your butt rigging, in, out. Pretty basic system. Balloon logging. There are a couple of videos out about balloon logging, and it's really, really cool. I've been wanting to get a picture of that drumlock carriage because it is pretty neat carriage, and you can get a lot of logs with them. If the guy that's pulling rigging on knows what he's doing, and the yarder engineer, they are very productive, you know, carriages. They are primitive, but for when they come out, they were top of the line. You know, no motor, no fuel, you know, all that stuff, but you could still run a drop line system. The only thing about it was you had to have the haul back on all the time, which we all know that if it's not done right, running the haul back can slow your rigging down considerably. But it also can speed it up, because if you're shooting that carriage back and the slinger is not good at timing and the carriage runs past and it runs ahead and runs back, having the haul back on, it's just run, stop, clamp, bing, you know. All right, so I'll try to get this edited up. I hope I do a good job and everybody understands what I'm trying to say here. Like always, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Until next time, stay safe, get logs.